All right. Welcome to the 2021 Pinnacle Boulder State Titles supported by Scarpa here at Flow Bouldering up on the Sunshine Coast. My name's Nick. I'm your MC for the day. And we are just sat here with Mike, who was a competitor today in the qualification rounds of the Open A, and also was here supporting a friend yesterday at the Open B and had a little bit of experience playing around with some of those blocks after the competition wrapped up as well. Say hi.
Hi everyone. I'm Mike.
So, Mike, how did you find the blocks yesterday at the Open Bs?
Yeah, the Open B qualification routes are pretty good, and we have one easy route to start with, which is the yellow one, which is everybody enjoy it, and then we have some boulder test, definitely different kind of strengths, which is quite nice. And yeah, it feels and also para routes are really good as well, and we have some really good down climbing for para.
For the para athletes, that was an excellent thing to see, that the setters were really considering the inclusive nature for the para climbers and putting in those down climb holds for them. That was great. Yeah. And did you have a go at those same blocks? Because some of them lapped over between the male and para climber blocks, didn't they?
Yeah, I only tried the men's Open B men's final problem, which is quite nice. We have, I think, 2 slab, 1 little like coordination dyno in blue.
Over on this end prow here, so that was a big overhanging piece where you had to pop up and double catch those 2 side pulls.
Yes, which is like really, really classic. A lot of the climbers like enjoy it. I enjoy that one as well, and I feel it doesn't look very hard, but like I didn't flash it, so it's like some climb I always interested is the climb not very hard, but you didn't flash it because you have some tricks in the set, which
That's
is like
always the way with these coordination dynos, isn't it?
Exactly.
They look so straightforward, and sometimes they just work, but other times it's just so easy to drop them on that first attempt. So how did you find that those Open B blocks yesterday compared to the Open A routes that you were doing today?
I feel overall it's just the strengths requires for everything, for like coordination and for upper bodies, for finger strengths, a little bit everything.
So they just upped the ante for every route in the Open A, just made it that much more requiring of power, hand strength, finger durability, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah,
excellent.
I think so.
And was there a favorite block for you today?
Today, maybe,
or maybe even 2.
Maybe I would say, if I have to pick up one, I would say maybe the second boulder. I didn't top and didn't have the zone, the purple one, because I feel the boulder can be finished in 2 ways. So my first attempt, I go to invert it, trying to toe hook the zone, and then try to control
this
the
was
zone.
that overhanging with the large hold at the lip before turning onto the face that was under in that little cave over there that we had.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
And that boulder can be done as just like barely catch the slope as well. So I think that one is quite good. But I made my choice of doing static version and get pumped out. I feel like if I do straight up, maybe I can catch the zone, but I'm not sure of the top. But
so I saw some competitors actually managing to turn around and bat hang off that hold. Is that the way that you went?
Yeah, that's my first attempt.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I kind of like burned out a little bit from that attempt, but I feel that kind of beta will work. That's kind of what we want to see in the routes, because you have different betas and people love it.
But you said that this was the one that you didn't quite get done.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. But whereabouts did you get to? Did you make the zone hold on that route?
No, I have both of my feet on the zone hold, but I didn't have the hand on it. But I feel that could be done with that beta.
Tough. And what was the second favorite route you had today, do you think, that you did top?
Must be the last problem.
That dynamic blue dyno?
Yeah, everyone love it. That one feels slightly easier than the rest of the boulder. Because we have really strong competitors this year for Queensland, which is more like national. So that boulder comparing to the difficulty comparing to other routes, more like a mercy for get the one top done at
kind
least.
of like a fortunate end,
Yeah.
end boulder. No,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a showstopper to have sort of a big jump to finish off there.
Yeah,
and
and
something to keep the crowd excited right till the very last
Yeah,
attempt
exactly.
by the very last climber.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to say the route setting seems to have been absolutely fantastic both days. Is there anything you'd like to say to the route setters?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Is the problems are like the coordination are awesome. The slab are awesome, and the hard rods are hard in a way of being complex, which is I like it. And I really appreciate all the setters and all the volunteers and Flo as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate that. Let's see if we can get another competitor pop in and talk to us now.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers, Mike.
Thank you.
Ta-ra. So just bear with us a moment there as we pull up a second competitor to come and have a chat to us as well. So James from Flow Bouldering, who's one of the joint owners here, he's just run off to do that. He's been diligently working away behind the scenes on plenty of little odd jobs and making sure everything flows throughout today and yesterday. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Join us. Give us an introduction.
Okay. I'm Matt. I placed very far down the bottom. Had a great time. It was brutal. The climbing was cool.
So this is Matthew Dawson, just to clarify.
Yep.
Matthew has also been in the Open A's today and competing through. Like he just said, he didn't make it into the finals, unfortunately, but he had a good burn on everything.
Wasn't last.
And the crowd were definitely pushing.
Main goal was like, I made a zone. That was happy with that.
Excellent.
Good
And which block
performance.
did you get that zone on?
That was the men's 4, I think. The slabby one. Nice slabby
That was that
green.
really
Yeah,
thin-
Yep.
Green? Purple? Green.
Green.
Green, it
Yep.
was. Sorry,
running,
my bad.
Running, semi-running style.
Yes.
Jump up onto some chips.
I was looking at that, and to my eye, that seemed to be the thing that I think I would have struggled with the most out of the blocks here. How did you find getting established on those really slopey volumes for your
God.
feet right at the beginning?
The toe chip was really good, but it was
That was for the right foot higher up?
Yeah, it was very like quick run and then stop. So I found it like it was hard to establish, but once you kind of got into it, you could really easily get to the zone. But then moving through the worst of it felt quite
Tenuous.
yeah. The toes weren't great for me. Slab's not my strong suit, but it was kind of play around. There wasn't much to read for it, I don't think. It was just be
It felt
good.
like it was fairly straightforward,
It was
but just
straightforward,
really about that
just if
delicate
you were-
balance and
yeah.
keeping that center
Yep.
of gravity in. And what do you think that it was separated you from getting the zone and then not getting the top?
Just moving through, so dropping onto the right hip and like palm press up high, which is one of my weaknesses. My shoulder doesn't work properly, and that chip was not as good as I wanted it.
So why doesn't the shoulder work properly? What's going on there?
I did some nerve damage 2 years back,
Ooh.
and yeah, just strength overhead has been not great since.
Okay.
So it's like, and just the style was a bit interesting. It's like usually it would be a nice little thumb press or something. I think it was just like kind of push into that top volume and roll yourself across and be really delicate and controlled, which is not my style. In general, but controlled and delicate in 5 minutes pressure is something that I definitely struggled with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having that clock ticking down is
Yeah.
always a tough part
Yep.
of it. So how did you find yourself going with that blue dyno at the end, men's 5?
Committing to that was my biggest challenge. I think dynos, for my general day-to-day style, I'll get them eventually, but usually after they're either really easy and super quick, or I'll just need to throw myself at it for a solid 2 hours.
It's one of those where you need to change that micro beater every time and just slowly learn the muscle memory, and just didn't quite have the time on the clock to get that
5
done here
minutes
today.
is just not enough. And other people, it worked really well. I think Chris got it eventually just before me, and I saw some other people get it. Just very powerful controlled dyno, which is not my thing. I'm kind of just jump at everything and hope, and then dial it in, like, okay, I need to hit the hold a little bit less or just a little bit more and keep going.
So for the future, do you think there's something that you'd do differently running into one of these events?
be a lot stronger and better. That's the main thing, I guess. Like, I felt that I read everything pretty well. I was really happy with the purple feet first. I thought I read that. I just couldn't quite extend enough and reach enough and pull in enough to get that.
Did you
toe
make
on.
the zone on that? No,
I couldn't get the toe.
And which way were you trying to turn around and bat hang onto that essentially?
So that was what I read. I don't know if that's how it went because I haven't looked at the live stream yet. I really should. And going at the end, I saw nothing. So.
And did you try and have a go at it through a sort of more static, reachy beater?
No, because I didn't think I could.
You didn't think you'd get that span?
I tried it once where I was like, I think I might be able to like go match on that with a toe hook and tension and throw out, but I think it wouldn't have worked as well for me.
Excellent.
It looked like a catch a toe and bat hang in and be very controlled swing, which looked super cool in my mind. It was just tiny. Like
I remember eyeing up that hold right at the beginning and thinking, oh, okay, I think I can see a sequence through here. But man, that hold right on the lip, which is this big hold we're talking about bat hanging on, it just looked like it didn't have as much there as at first glance.
No.
And I thought that was going to be a bit of a problem to cause competitors some problem and maybe bring some people unstuck. So through the rest of the competition today, what would you say your sort of highlight of the day has been? Be it your own climbing or watching something else?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited to see how the finals go. That's awesome. And hanging out with everybody out in isolation was just fun, watching everybody warm up and like being around such amazingly strong climbers. Like, Tom's back there and it's like, oh, cool, climbing with an Olympian. That's,
it's not every day you get to say that, is
it? Just watching him do some massive campus moves on the kilter board.
I was just about to ask about that. Did you notice that there was sort of much difference in the way that different people who you knew maybe had more or less experience in the sort of competition climbing realm were dealing with that isolation and warm-up?
I think most of them were going through just warming up by stages, doing their own thing, going through a process. And
so it seemed like everyone had a bit of a plan.
It's definitely the people that have competed a lot before. There's definitely a difference between like me and a few others who were first time for at least open A's and being in isolation and chatting. And because we're right at the back, I think the first few people were, okay, get in, warm up, get good, feel good, stretch, warm up forearms and fingers, play around on the kilter board, play around on the hangboard out there, and then the rest of us we're just going to chill. We've got 2 hours.
That's one of the things,
end.
isn't it? You've got a long time if you're down the bottom of that run order on the list. Yeah,
exactly.
So did you have any worries at all? This is something coming from my own personal experience. Whenever I've been in a scenario where I've had to sort of warm up pre-coming out for blocks, I'm never quite sure how much to put into that warm-up. Were you concerned about overdoing it and pumping yourself out a little or accidentally flash pumping your arms before coming onto the blocks, or did you think you had that quite well dialed?
Not really. I was going on the side of not warming up enough than trying to be too warm and too tired because I knew...
Obviously the mild worry in the background is injury.
Yep. I was watching some of the stronger guys play around doing like some very, in my mind, stupid things to do in a warm-up, like monos, hanging off monos, massive dynos, that like flying backwards off the kilter board. It's like, I'm okay with this because then you injure yourself and drop a place. But
do you think to a degree there comes an element of the conditioning of someone like Tom, obviously our Australian Olympian, compared to your own personal situation, sort of in regards to how threatening something like a mono or a large dyno is for their systems?
Yeah, and Tom went through in a very structured, to my eyes, he went through very calmly structured. He knew exactly what he was doing. He warmed up really, really well, very precise and like really good intent. He definitely knew exactly what he was doing for all that.
Excuse us there.
Dramatic emphasis. I think it was more the people in the middle stages that were halfway down the order that were getting quite almost bored sitting in there for about an hour. You kind of go through that period of being warm, cooling down a little bit, back to stretching, back to warming up, getting bored again, doing and pushing, and they were like in a good way. But when they started, I think, doing some like getting a little bit wilder and wilder, and doing some very...
Sort of almost seeing that sort of isolation boredom kicking in,
Yeah.
and then just kind of losing track of that competition a little bit and the purpose of why they're staying active, to remain warm but not overtaxed for the boulders.
Exactly.
See, that's it's got to be a real mind game when you're back there for so long.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, mate.
Awesome.
A pleasure talking to you.
I'll give you that one. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon and enjoy the finals. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
I'm Hanna Lee.
Hanna Lee, welcome. So
Thank
Hanna Lee, again, one of our female competitors this morning. Hanna Lee was wearing bib 29 and came in sort of just after halfway through the run order.
Yep.
How did you find that period sitting back in isolation? This is what we were just chatting about.
It was actually not so bad. It was pretty packed out in ISO, so didn't really get much of a chance to get on the training wall straight away. But it ended up being pretty good because you just kind of hang out, don't get yourself too anxious about everything going on out here, and it's good.
Of course, obviously, you had people around you in isolation the whole time, the other competitors.
Yeah.
Were people chattering away, or were people really sort of locked in their headphones and
there was a
zoned
good
out?
mix. I think there was a few of us outside just trying to do a bit of stretching, and then made our way in to get onto the training wall after.
And of course, because you weren't at the bottom of the run order, that you were never left in there just sitting on your own.
No.
Do you think that would have changed your mentality towards how you came out if you had been that last competitor?
I think so. I think it's definitely more stressful being at the end because you're the one who has to wait longer. You're the one who's like out here hearing the cheers and everything going on out here, and I don't know.
Just itching to get in there, huh?
Yeah, I preferred coming out a little bit earlier in the lineup, so
fantastic.
It was good.
So, how did you go on the blocks today? Did you feel quite comfortable with them? Did they feel way too hard, or was it sort of that kind of, I know I can get this, but I just don't have the time feeling? Where were you in that sort of realm?
I think the route setters did an awesome job on the problems. I don't think there was a single problem where I was like, oh damn, like what is this? All of them were like, the first one, for example, like the pink female climb.
Yep.
I thought that was probably the most doable for me out of all of the lot.
That was that one down on the right side of the cave there,
yeah,
wasn't it?
the one in the cave. Unfortunately, I didn't
that was
get the
a
top.
bit burly, wasn't it? With a bit of an overhung start.
Pretty burly. I think it was one of those sorts of climbs where you're better off doing fewer attempts, but just getting it done.
Absolutely.
And
did you get the zone on that route?
Yeah, I got the flash for the zone.
So that was the first of the sort of several in a row that were quite large pinches that you really had to...
Yeah, and I think it was really nice because it made you think of your hand positioning definitely through that one, and that was probably what separated the girls who got it and unfortunately the ones who dropped it, like me.
So how far through the rest of that problem did you get before you unfortunately spilt off?
I think I got up to the second last... maybe the second last hold or the third last hold. Yeah, so pretty
tentatively close.
And just one of those climbs too, where you know that you can do it if you had the stamina or if you had the time.
Or just an extra 10 minutes, huh?
Yeah, one of those little heartbreaker climbs.
So, what did you go on to do after that then?
So it was pretty mean actually. So they put us on this burly climb off the pink onto a slab. Pretty delicate.
So they really shook up the styles. It wasn't they were like burly, dino, slab.
I guess
they really mixed it up.
Yeah, it was probably good that they mixed it up, but then it was also hard because my forearms were absolutely rock hard by that point, and I couldn't really hold on to the volumes where there were no holds. So. And
how did that 5 minutes rest between those two blocks do for letting you just regain some energy into those forearms, just milk a couple of extra opportunities? Did that sort of go well? Did you have a plan in regards to stretching out or anything, or did you just wait and let it happen?
Yeah, no plan. Unfortunately, I should have thought about that. I went pretty hard on the first pink one, and I don't know. I think it was probably that flash pump that really got me. So when I got on the slab, it was
just went a bit
too
hard,
no-go.
too fast.
Yeah, but I think as we went through all of the other climbs, started to get a little bit more of a rest throughout. So that was good.
So bearing that in mind, of having that first burly climb, do you think you would have approached your warm-up slightly differently with that knowledge in retrospect?
I think 100%. Like, because we're pretty limited on the training wall, I think maybe timing that a little bit earlier, doing a bit more volume, and then spacing it out to have a bit of a rest and recover before coming out.
And I think I saw, maybe it wasn't today, maybe it was yesterday morning, but there was one or two people with those small Awesome Woodies rung hangboards, the sort of ones that you slap in your backpack and head up to the crag with.
Super smart.
Were there some people in there with those?
Yeah,
and do you reckon that would have helped with this situation? Because obviously otherwise we've got a kilter board in there that's, I think, set at 65, something like that degrees.
Yeah, the kilter was pretty full on going straight onto that. I think pretty much every competitor out the back had at least a, what are they called, resistance band going. But the Awesome Woodies or like fingerboards, any of the fingerboards really would have made a difference for sure.
Yeah, interesting.
It was very
all the
smart
tactics that come into it.
Yep.
So you also had one large dynamic problem, I think, with the female set.
Yeah, number
was that
3, I think it was.
F3?
The blue, that was surprisingly really nice. Like, dynos are not my forte, being 150 centimeters, bordering probably dwarf. But yeah, no, the dyno itself wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't find it so intimidating. It was just more the commitment to do it.
Okay. Did you make progress up that one?
I tried very hard.
Never quite caught the dynamic aspect, or you got that and stumbled after?
I think the heartbreaker was that I could feel the hole that I was going to. I could pull it in. The hard part for me was sticking the foot to counter my swing, and that's where I kind of dropped it. But
so they weren't just making you do the large leap for some holds, but also throwing them in a position that you had to whip those feet round quickly to put a flag out to balance off.
I'm not sure if the intention was actually to do a bit of a combination move too, so dyno, hit the foot, and then move on to the next hold a little bit quicker. But being a bit shorter, I thought for my tactics, it was more just try and concentrate on the dyno, then you can move on to the rest if you get there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't quite make it past that, but I definitely think it was very nicely done.
A hell of an effort from the sounds of it at any rate. So do you think that with those kinds of coordination problems like that, that's something that you would train for in the future? Or is it one of those things that you've sort of seen in the gyms put up and sort of been like, that's not really my thing, I'm going to keep away from it?
I think now that we're starting to see more of the comp style climbs come through the gyms, especially at the urban gyms, that's where I usually climb. It's something that takes a bit of effort to get onto, and it's definitely not my style, so I know I'm not going to be great at it. But definitely need to work on it for sure. And it's like, I think it's just a mentality around it. It's like once you get comfortable trying them at least, then that's where you can make your progress.
Well, absolutely full marks for effort today.
Yeah.
You've done a hell of a job, as have all the other competitors, I'm sure. Is there anything you'd want to say to any of the people involved with this?
Yeah, well, I think the route setters have done an incredible job with everything, so kudos to them. Good luck to the competitors that are coming up. I'm really looking forward to the top dogs who are coming out soon. So
I think we all are. Well, fantastic.
Should be good.
Find yourself a refreshment or something. Grab yourself a seat and get involved. Take care. Well, that's wrapping up from us here on the competitors. We have about 2 minutes to go until everything starts. I think we're supposed to be kicking off in a moment. So, do we have time to throw Kelly for an introduction to country and everything to start with? Or?
Sorry, I didn't realise we were doing another one before
Well, we
finals.
don't-
I thought it was just at the start of the day.
And this is the first time it goes out on the online stream.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. We're looking to kick off this 2021 Pinnacle Sports Queensland Boulder State Finals, sponsored by Scarpa. We'll have our finalists coming out momentarily, but first off, just a quick welcome to country by Kelly Naylor.
I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we gather today, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of all First Nation Australians. We must always remember that under the concrete and the asphalt, that the land, sea and the waterways were and always will be traditional land.
Okay guys, it's a bit of an interlude right now. Back to the MC. We're all good to go.
Block over here, and then we should be seeing competitors coming out onto the mats. I hope you're all getting excited, people. Yes? Woo!
Okay. There we guys. Not anymore. I'll move it. Give me 1 sec. Is everyone can hear me? Yeah. So I've just been told to move a camera by the judge, trying to change our setup from the interview. So we're gonna go live anytime soon for visualization. So once they visualize, everyone's gonna go back in.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our first competitors coming out onto the maps for this final will be Atako Nakamura as a guest climber on her own. There will not be a male with her as well. She did exceptionally well in the qualifying phase, coming, I believe, ranked in second out of everybody, but she doesn't quite hit the age category to compete for the finals. So she will be out doing her utmost just to show us what she's got. So let's give it up, everybody. And we have Atako Nakamura coming out onto the pads to kick us off here at the Queensland State Finals 2021, sponsored by Scarpa and Pinnacle.
You lost this one, huh? This one's off.
So this is in fact everybody popping out. These are our finalist competitors today. So obviously right at the beginning here, we have our observation period where the guys and girls get to separate to observe the blocks, females 1 through 5 and males 1 through 5. Sorry, 4 blocks, my bad. So they get a limited period of time each, I believe 2 minutes observing each block, to try and figure out some sequencing, some beta, some little ticks or tricks that they might figure out just by having a look. There's no contact with the holds above reach. Anything past the starting holds, pardon me, can be held by the climbers, but they are allowed to touch those starting holds. Yeah, no, not this. A lot of organising. Really want a team of like 3 times the number of people. So that's that first 2 minutes up. The competitors, as you watch here, just shimmying along to the second blocks that they will be working on today. I've already done that. Threats of being whacked by poles for people sitting on pads in the wrong places here. So obviously in amongst the finalists here on the males, we have Alexander Chetkovsky, Sam Lavender, Sam Bowman, Thomas O'Halloran, Campbell Harrison, and Jesse Ruffini, all pulling through to go into this final from the qualifiers earlier today. That's that next 2 minutes. Moving on to the next pads to check out that third problem for both the males and females now. The females qualified, as I've already mentioned, we had Atake Nakamura with a sterling effort, despite being the youngest competitor we have here today and unfortunately not qualifying for a competitive place in the finals. We also have Felicitas Vernon, Elizabeth Kuski, Grace Crowley out of Victoria. So obviously Tom O'Halloran from New South Wales and Campbell Harrison, Victoria. Everyone else there being a Queensland local. And Sarah Reynolds and Clea Hall, both also Queensland. And Anna Davey from out Perth Way in Western Australia as your female finalists today. Also, I'd just like to give a last final shout out to all the other competitors who did compete earlier today in the open qualifiers. Some exemplary efforts from all of the others, spurring these finalists on to putting their absolute all into making sure they got as many zones and tops to move forward into this final. So shout out to all those others that drive the rest of the pack to higher, better feats of endurance and power. The competitors now just finally getting a last glimpse of those fourth blocks that they will all have a go at in this finals before they will be shepherded back into isolation and released in the run order as I've just talked you through them. And that is time called on these final blocks. The competitors wandering back along the pads there, back towards isolation. And this time round, when I announce that Atako will be coming out on her own, that will be the case. She will be an individual female competitor on the mats to start the rounds off. Followed, of course, by our first male Sam Lavender and first female Felicitas Vernon, both from Queensland. The first blocks that will be attempted here will obviously be female 1 for Atako over here in the cave zone. Looking like a tricky start. I think you'd be okay. You might want to come back a tiny bit. Followed up after that, of course, by when the first two finalists competing for the actual titles come out, we'll have Sam Lavender first having a crack at M1 over here. This black and white combination volume route with these dual tech simple holds that they've had a good look at. The dual texture holds, of course, just adding an extra element of complexity. And we are, as far as this end is concerned, ready for our taco to come out. I think we're just waiting on a light to be fitted. Our taco is out on the pads, here and ready for female boulder number 1. Let's give it up for our taco, everybody. Phenomenal effort in the qualifying rounds. That's 3 seconds, 2, 1, and she's on. And the crowd holds its breath watching these first few moves. We're watching that clock ticking down. Obviously, in this finals, we have only 4 minutes on the clock for each competitors, as opposed to that 5 minutes that was available for the qualifying rounds on every block. So it may seem like the time's running quicker, but there is in fact just less of it. That's 1 minute gone, 3 minutes remaining. This start, of course, complex without an obvious location for your hands right at the beginning other than this starting volume. So no clear-cut grip to be had from a hold. And this position requires a lot from the shoulders straight off the bat. It's a very, very quick way to tire those shoulders prior to forcing you into climbing the rest of the route. Oh, fingertips not quite sticking. We have 2 minutes remaining on the clock. We have our 2 local photographers down in this corner under the cave doing a sterling job as well, capturing all those moments that we're going to see forever down the years. These guys have been working hard all weekend. That's 1 minute left. The crowd getting behind Otako here, really trying to encourage her on. 30 seconds remaining on the clock. "20 seconds remaining. A quick brush. It looks like Otako will have one more go here. 10 seconds left. But maybe she has already decided. 3, 2, 1. That is great. Give it up for Atako, everybody. Fantastic work. Our second competitors, with Sam Lavender and Felicitas Vernon walking out onto the pads for us here today. The first go looking at M1. Just having a moment to sort the clock out here. And that is our countdown. 8 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Compete. I'm so sorry, I miscalled the first male competitor there. This is, of course, Alexander Tchaikovsky. Sam Lavender will be our second competitor today. Obviously, we are seeing, a slightly larger reach with our slightly older competitors in the female division here. Whether that will help or not in the long run, we'll soon find out. The brushes up there doing their work. The strain involved with some of the positions on these routes, even when they are a vertical or a slab as opposed to an overhang, there's a lot that goes into the body tension and the hand mechanics. Sometimes you'll walk up to a block, read it one way, think it looks real straightforward, and it just throws you a curveball. We are just past 2 minutes left, into 1 minute 45 remaining on the clock. You can see the effort going into these attempts visibly in the athletes' frames as they make their way through these routes. "45 seconds remaining on the clock. Of course, here at Flow Bouldering on the Sunshine Coast, a newly, freshly opened gym, been here less than a year, but a fantastic facility. Kilter board in the back in isolation for the competitors to warm up on. That's 20 seconds remaining on the clock. 15 seconds remaining. 10. 5 seconds remaining. 2, 1, and that's time for these blocks. Let's see these competitors stepping back. And the next two, Sam Lavender and Elizabeth Cuskley, moving out onto the pads for the next round. Sam now moving over towards M1, and Liz moving over towards F1 for their first attempts. And that's the timer on, 4 minutes. And this run order, of course, going in reverse of their placement in the qualification rounds, having our strongest competitors from qualification coming out last. But it doesn't tell you anything about where they really rank, because some people just simply are clever with their efforts. And this is where it'll all be thrown down to find out the true standings. Look at that. 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Fantastic noise from the crowd here today. So good to see this lot getting behind their competitors. Obviously, this event being brought to you by Scarpa and Pinnacle Sports. Pinnacle being the local retail store, providing us with plenty of useful outdoor goodies, as well as guides and expedition services. 2 minutes remaining on the clock there. And Scarpa being one of the oldest footwear brands in Europe who have specialized into mountaineering boots and climbing shoes, amongst other things. One minute remaining on the clock. Of course, Wildfire Sports providing us with some goodies for the crowd as well today, and some of the additional prizes for the victors. 35 seconds remaining. "20 seconds remaining." Running down to 10 seconds left. And that looks like we are welcoming our next competitors out onto the mat, sorry, in the forms of Grace Crowley for the women and Sam Bowman for the men. Grace in that number 75 bib, Sam in 72. Obviously both stepping over to men's 1 and men's 2.
So they go back into a separate isolation.
We focus purely on one block at a time and allowing those competitors to go back into a separate isolation booth once they have additional information on these climbs after having had a go at them. We are into 3 minutes gone, 2 minutes 47 left on the clock. The athletes looking composed, checking the time, figuring out their tactics. Strong support for the competitors from the crowd again here. Moving very well here. Would you look at that and hear that crowd roar? That's 1 minute 50 remaining on the clock. Sam obviously being a strong advocate for progression of the sport in the outdoor arena around Queensland, and I'm sure other places when he manages to get there. Having, as I mentioned in the qualifiers, established probably the 2 hardest boulders in Queensland outdoors at the moment. Over at, I think it's called Terra Rock, and also Yuri's place at Passchendaele out in the Granite Belt. Both at V13 or above, probably. The second, I believe, is still a project that only Sam has done, so he's awaiting verification from that from some other strong athletes. Fantastic. And that is 25 seconds counting down. Halloran and Sarah Reynolds, local Queensland favourite and head route setter, over a 9 degrees. Countdown has begun. 5 seconds till go time. And that is time. You may start your blocks. Tom ready with his brushes there straight away. Showing that prior experience and what needs to be done straight off the bat to give himself optimum opportunity. Slow but steady progress being made by these athletes. Even when these movements seem slow and stable, there's still so much power being delivered through those hands, forearms, and shoulders. Even the lower limb, those legs are working so hard to put power through the bottom of the foot to keep that rubber sticking to those awkwardly angled holds. 2 minutes 50 on the clock. Oh, unfortunate. I'm sure even through these unidirectional mics that are not supposed to catch anything else, you're hearing the roar of the crowd here. So much support for these athletes. What a great house. That's half time, 2 minutes on the clock. The brushes here, making sure those holds are as free of chalk as they can make them. Obviously, chalk being only useful while it's on your hand and keeping everything sweat-free. Once it's embedded in those roots, it can form a bit of a greasy surface and take up some of that sort of porous space on the holds, making them not quite grip as well. Which is why Scent provides not only chalk, but also brushes. Thanking them as a minor sponsor here. And that is 1 minute left on the clock. Of course, as with any block, body positioning, angles, just allows for different pressure points. Two, what a finish. Our next competitors walking out onto the mats. Campbell Harrison out of Victoria wearing that 24 bib. And Clea Hall for Team Pinnacle. One of the younger competitors readying herself up for female block 1. Clear's father being one of the joint owners of Beta Boulevard, previously known as The Rock, one of the roped climbing centers just slightly west and inland from Brisbane, I think maybe a little bit south. By all accounts, a well-known gym in the area despite its period of closure. Going from strength to strength now. 3 minutes 20 remaining on the clock there. Clea, of course, has at home a garage at the bottom of the garden with a fantastic array of training facilities. allowing the whole family to be pretty strong. 3 minutes just gone. Campbell chalking up there, moving well. Oh. And that just shows you, ladies and gents, the caliber athletes we have here today. They may just be your neighborhood crusher, but they are at the top of the field. Campbell, of course, traveling all the way from Victoria for this. Remains on the clock here. Oh, we have a young crusher on the pads over here, making an escape from Dad. Come on, Priya. Finding an excellent sequence. 55 seconds. "40 seconds. 30 seconds remaining. The athletes, of course, able to call it whenever they choose. 4 minutes reset onto the clock here. We have Anna Davey coming out straight from Western Australia, made through to the finals in strong form. And Jessie Ruffini wearing that 51 bib, Anna in 56. Both moving over to their female one, male one boulders. The last competitors for these blocks today. Countdown is underway. We have 5 seconds till go time. And that's on. That 4-minute clock started. Athletes remembering that beater as best they can from previously during their observation period. Having a quick reassess, just making sure they reaffirm what they saw in the first place. Remember, they saw 3 blocks after these ones. Trying to hold it all in their mind. Not so easy. 3 minutes 30.
Just give me a sec. I'd just like to thank everyone so far. The live stream is going really well. We got Western Australia representing on the wall. Thanks for everyone. Roger out.
Just a shout out there from Antoine Radis Productions for the support we're having on the live stream. Look at this. 2 minutes 55 remaining. Still plenty of time for further burns. You can see, feeling that through the body a little. Maybe just the fingertips. Anyone that's been on a block overhanging like that knows what that feels like. Two minutes 30 remaining. Come on, crowd, let's give it up. Give him a little bit of support here. And that's down to half-time for this attempt. 2 minutes remain. A grin from Jesse there, loving the crowd. That's it, a little fist pump, we like it. Jesse, of course, able to wear this Crimson Boulder Guild Master top from final standings in the Boulder Guild competition done during COVID last year, where the format was altered to allow for competition to still take place. Obviously, up in Queensland, having been quite lucky with the way that that disease has not hit us too hard and allowed generally for us to continue fairly unrestricted. 1 minute 10 remaining. Oh. 45 seconds on the clock there. Whoa. Come on, Hanna. Competitors obviously have to know when they've got it and when they haven't, and whether an extra try is worth it or not. 15 seconds remaining. 10 seconds remaining. Jesse, unfortunately, would not, if the time expires, be able to claim a top here. That is out. Good job, guys. So the 4-minute timer back on top there. We have Atako coming back out to have a good crack at female number 2. Let's see how this goes. Atako, of course, as we discussed before, competing as a guest competitor, having competed so well in the qualification round, but not, unfortunately, being old enough to qualify for the state medal here today. But placing second in that qualification round, a strong competitor, and someone I've watched personally in the boulder halls around here smash problems I've struggled on. .30 seconds gone, making good headway. We're being perfectly schooled here today by these route setters in how they can make things totally different, yet still just as difficult for us. With 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Quick shout out to Cliff Bar as well for helping support this with the help of Soul Origin. When you need a bit of power that fits in your back pocket, it's the way to go. Atako showing us exactly why she deserves to be here. 2 minutes 10 remaining on the clock, everybody. How's that? Clock to be reset. Next competitors who are the first out from the finals batch. We have Alexander Chetkovsky of Queensland and Felicitas Vernon of Queensland to step out onto the pads as the first male and female from that qualifying category who can take the medals onto the pads. So our first look at how male 2 climbs and our second look at how female 2 climbs. These being obviously the blocks M2, F2. Countdown's underway, 5 seconds before. 2, 1, start your problems. Those Scarpa Furious doing her good work there. Thanks to Scarpa for sponsoring this event. Make some noise, crowd. Get behind these guys. And that's the first minute gone. 3 minutes on the clock. Obviously, Sports Climbing Queensland putting this event on for us today with the aid of Pinnacle Sports and Scarpa and a host of volunteer judges, brushers, sorry, they are not themselves brushes, despite the hairstyles. I'm one to talk. Photographers also. Radis Productions behind the cameras here. And that is halfway on the clock. 2 minutes remain. Also, obviously, thanking the setters here today for setting us an absolutely exceptional array of problems and occasionally bringing MC's water. One minute 30 remains on the clock. Remember, obviously, every attempt here counts, guys. Number of attempts to top, number of attempts to zone, all of these things come into calculation in the final estimation of people's standings. The quicker and less attempts you use to get to your zone and or your top, the better the outcome. 1 minute remains. The gold standard there obviously being a flash from the bottom to the top. No mistakes, attempt number 1. 4 of those, and you're in contention for the gold for sure. The zone hold, for anyone not familiar with that, is the hold roughly somewhere in the middle of these blocks with a pink tag attached to it, and in this case, in our finals, a blue little tag with the word zone on it to help everyone know that for sure. 15 seconds remain. 10. 5, 4, 3. That is time on those blocks. Give it up for our competitors, guys, as they walk off. Next two, we welcome back Sam Bowman and Liz Cuskelly. Sam Lavender, I'm so sorry, I read the wrong name. I was one list ahead. Sam Lavender staring down that male 2 block there, the green overhanging problem by this cave. And Liz over at F2. This balancy, voluminous triangles. Sam, of course, also having a pedigree in competition, having reached finals, if not won the Boulder Guild last year, and regularly a podium placer in Boulder Fest, as is Liz, for that matter. 3 minutes remaining on the clock here. Two minutes 30. The crowd expressing the emotions of the athletes here. Cheers and frustrations, groans and whoops. Another strong attempt. 2 minutes. That's halfway for these blocks. Time inevitably ticking away. 1 minute 40 remaining. Some of these boulders obviously having to be a little bit more considered in regards to the time than others, depending on how much time each takes. Usually finding that these balancy problems take a little more and need that slow, delicate movement to get through them, where a larger, more dynamic problem might be over faster, allowing potentially for more attempts. And knowing when to not have another go is almost as important as knowing that you have got that in you for another go. Just past 1 minute now. 50 seconds left on the clock. Let's give them support, crowd. Come on. 30 seconds. $25. 15 left. 10 left. 5, 4, 3, 2. That is time on the blocks. With Sam Bowman and Grace Crowley out of Victoria coming up now for their first crack at men's and women's 2 blocks, M2, F2. Competitors are in position. Time countdown started. 5 seconds. 2, 1. Competitors may climb. If you've just recently joined us here on the live stream, this is the 2021 Pinnacle Boulder State Titles supported by Scarpa. Well underway here, seeing most competitors having been through the second block and all having completed the first block. Completed as in their attempts, not necessarily a top. Three minutes remain. Sam sitting back, making sure he gives himself a rest before his next attempt. Grace, midway through, female 2. Everybody's eyes in the crowds fixed on these competitors, except the dogs. Sam looking strong here. I would love to talk you through the different beta people are using, the way they're finding solutions in their own fashions, but obviously having isolation nearby, we can't talk that out over the live stream for fear of tips and tricks being given away to the competitors yet to have a go at these blocks. So you're just going to have to focus on what's in front of you on your screens or here at Flow Bouldering if you are in person in the room here in the Sunshine Coast. One minute 15 remains. A puff of chalk dust. 1 minute just gone, 50 seconds on the clock. Such delicate movement over there at female 2. Such delicate movement. "25 seconds remaining. Is there time for one more burn here? I think not. And that is time on these boulders. Next up, bib 86, we have Tom O'Halloran again coming back to the pads from New South Wales. And Sarah Reynolds in bib 5. Crowd favorite here. Both moving themselves over to in front of the second finals block for them today. We have 4 minutes on the clock. Ready for the countdown. We're waiting on that countdown for the 4-minute clock. There it is, 10 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, competitors begin. both competitors taking their time, eyeing up the routes, just reaffirming that beta they saw on the second block in their observation period, trying to make sure there's nothing they missed and moving into their climbs. Oh, no. 3 minutes on the clock, 1 minute gone. Both competitors moving well through their boulders here. Tom second guessing a movement. 2 minutes 10 on the block remaining. Two minutes left for these competitors. It's always interesting watching the tactics the different competitors have in regards to their time management and their attempts. Sarah Reynolds moving well there. Tom on again. One minute remaining on the clock. 1 minute. Let's give her a bit of support, people. Come on. And these state finals just keep hotting up, boulder after boulder. 25 seconds remaining. Listen to that crowd. 10 seconds left on the clock. Counting down to nothing. Next up, for these blocks, we have Campbell Harrison out of Victoria and Clear Hall from Queensland stepping up to their second blocks of the day. 4 minutes on the clock, ready, waiting for that countdown. Started, 5 seconds to go. And begin. Again, the competitors figuring out what they're able to do here, what they can remember from their previous reads, putting it together and making sure it was what they thought it was. And when ready, jumping on, starting moving. Looking strong. Interesting to see how many different styles of movement we've seen through this M2 problem. multiple different reads. That's 3 minutes remaining. Clear, of course. Team Pinnacle there. Pinnacle being the named sponsor for this event, showing strong form with 2 of their athletes in both Clear and Emily Ames, unfortunately not quite making it into the finals. But putting in a very impressive showing during qualification and actually taking the Masters female title yesterday here at Flow up on the Sunshine Coast. Counting down to 2 minutes now. That's half the time gone for this boulder. All right, crowd, let's get it behind them. Come on. Come on. Let's give it. Come on. 1 minute 30 on the clock there. Come on, Clear. A little scream of frustration out of Clear there. Straight back on. Nothing but focus. One minute remains. Come on, Campbell. A last 35 seconds on the clock. Time for one more attempt here. "25 seconds. 20 seconds. "10 seconds remain. Campbell grabs his chalk bag. And we are readying up for the next competitors. 4-minute timer replaced back on the clock there as we see Anna Davey out of West Australia coming up to find that female 2. And Jesse Ruffini out of Queensland moving over to that men's 2. A lot of support from the crowd here. All right, come on, let's hear it. This is good movement over here. Oh, yeah, okay, right, so just cut a line down there. Oh, nothing there, but cut a line down. From like, start hold of that 4 back.
The end of that table, end of that chair. Yeah, and that.
yeah, yep. Watching this tentative movement, you can see the crowd holding their breath. Let's get some support behind Jesse here. We have just about 2 minutes 10 left now. Coming down to that halfway point in 5 seconds. And of course, at the end of these 2 minutes, that's the halfway point of this finals. Hanna moving well here, come on. Looking so strong. Different approach there to some of the other competitors, working nonetheless. Scarpa Drago's on Jesse's feet here, doing him well. 1 minute remaining on the clock.
Doing well. What are you doing well? You have to.
With 35 seconds remaining. Time for one more attempt here. $25. 15 seconds. That is 5 left, and looks like time for these blocks. So we are going to have a very brief pause in the competitors coming out here as we need the crowd moving away from boulders, female 3 and male 3. That is the red on this side over here, and the red on this side over here. If you find a new spot to stay, please do not come in front of this boundary line. Can we also please keep the pads on the other side where female 1-2, male 1-2 are clear, so that there is space for competitors to walk around the back there, so that they can move out from the boulders into isolation without going through the other isolation area. Thank you. Obviously, this division of isolation being so important because once someone's had a burn on a block, they need to be able to move away onto the isolation area without interacting with the other competitors yet to try those blocks, so that there is no chance of any cross-communication. Us climbers are just too social and chatty a bunch to be trusted. They don't need to. Select my audience. For those of you sitting at home, we are just waiting on a slight reshuffle of the crowd before we bring the next competitors out. Just making sure we have appropriate thoroughfares. No one loses any time being blocked by a crowd member or anything along those lines. Isolation officials and judges and jury president all making themselves busy and making sure everything is in the right places. Oh, I'm talking into the live stream. Yeah. confusion amongst the people here who think I'm just talking to myself. I was addressing the live stream with things that you guys already know. We are now ready for the first competitors onto female 3 and male 3 boulders. Oh, sorry, no male 3. We will be having our taco out first onto female 3 once again. And for anyone that might not have heard me from previously, if you've just joined on the online stream, our taco, having done exceptionally well in qualifiers, but not being in the age category to compete for finals, is coming out on her own. Give it up for our taco, everybody. Stepping up to female 3, our first competitor onto this block today. You guys know this is the other block. Should have to move in a bit. Time is down to 2 seconds, 1 second. Off you go. Come on, Atako. Atako having a final read of this problem before jumping on. Just refreshing what was in her head already from that observation period right at the start. Small holds. Herding competitors at these boulder events is often akin to herding cats, but you guys are doing exceptionally well with following instructions and keeping in the good areas. Thank you very much for that. Just a quick reminder for anybody here that may have joined us late that there are QR check-ins for your COVID check-in at the door. If you have not done that, please make sure you go over there and do that when you have a spare second. Earlier, better. Let's hear it for Atako. If you can't see Atako and you're worried about watching the other females as well, there is space around the other side of the block, which would allow you visual of both routes to be climbed over by the gym that seems to be infested with young climbers and a photographer. Two minutes remaining. When you're on the way around the back of that block, if you fancy it, there are some Cliff Bars at the front that you can grab too. Cliff Bar, of course, another supporting sponsor. That's pocket-sized energy for all your expedition needs. They just have to fill that space up. 1 minute 30 remaining on the clock for our taco here. Of course, once our taco wraps up here, we will need space from the isolation area onto the pads, so just make sure you are ready to move when that happens. Into the final minute for our taco here. Come on, our taco. Forty seconds remains here. Really, really solid work there. Working hard. 25 seconds left. Time for another burn, if she so chooses. 10 seconds left. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, and that's time on the blocks. Please make sure there is space available for competitors to exit isolation if you are stood in that area. We now have Alexander Tchaikovsky and Felicitas Vernon joining us on the pads for their first goes at M3 here and F3 over there that we just saw our taco on. Let's make sure we give them a little bit of noise when they start up in 6, 5 seconds. And that's go. Obviously this female 3 is quite an overhanging route here. All the competitors have already seen it. A lot of smallish looking holds. The M3, similar in terms of the holds, but not overhanging. A slab problem with more of these devilishly angled volumes that we've been seeing all weekend. Let's give them a bit of support, guys. Throw it out there for them. Come on, Feli. Alex just squeaking his shoes on the mat there, making sure there's no excess residue, excess chalk, any little bits or pieces that might have been picked up off the floor that could hinder that friction that he so desperately needs on this route. Working well and trusting those feet. Quite the dichotomy in comparison to this route Feli is working over on the other side, equally requiring a lot of footwork, but in a very different way. We've passed that halfway mark, 1 minute 55. Here at Flow Bouldering on the Sunshine Coast. Excellent, excellent competition underway. Plenty of work being done by all the athletes here. Some of the qualifiers sitting out on the benches watching the finalists going through. Still psyched just to see people having a crack at these blocks. No doubt wishing they could have a go too. Perhaps there'll be time at the end. One minute remaining on the boulders. Boulder outside much? Do you boulder outside? Had a problem recently? I think you're working.
I really wanted to get outside.
45 seconds remaining. You gotta go check out Bouldering just around the corner.
Yeah, right.
Really good blocks there. Yeah, yeah. He was definitely talking about it. I don't know if he's been yet, but yeah, he might have done. Yeah, it's real close by. Less than 30 seconds remaining. 20 seconds on the clock. Come on, guys, let's see it. Oh. 5, 4, 3, 2. That is time on these blocks for those competitors. Give them a hand, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's keep that psych high. And we have our next competitors coming out. Liz Cuskelly out of Queensland. And Sam Lavender, men's 3, finally got his name right first go round today. Having the slightly different reading order due to our taco on the form has thrown me off with the equals, hence the confusion there. But I'm glad to have it because watching her climb is an absolute pleasure. Sam looking strong here. Moving so well through this block. Liz still making sure her beater's down and she's got the right moves to go. Only 30 seconds in. Sam having a cheeky chalk up there. Oh, and you hear what that means to the crowd. Imagine what it means to the competitor. Of course, supported here today by Physio Cream, Sober Beverages, Wildfire Sports, Scent, Wild Earth, and Cliff Bar, all of whom are making this happen. And that's 2:30 remaining for these competitors on these blocks. Let's get behind them. Come on.
Come on, Liz. Ali. Ali, Liz.
When are you supposed to be doing something at Coulomb?
I was like, for the past 2 days.
How did it go?
Yeah, good. It's really hot though. Like nothing. Yes. Can have half of it.
That's 1 minute 45 remaining on the clock there.
Yeah, so I had like yesterday was better than today, but today was so hot. So hot. Yesterday was not even no breeze.
And what have you been working?
Me about too far?
Good job.
Upper right, just go down, go push. What was that?
Chalk.
Is that the chai one?
Maybe, one of them.
Thanks, Bob.
That's for your project.
Oh, yeah,
A little helping out for a project going down at Coulomb over this weekend. Mo working hard on his stuff outside. He's won himself a little Scent chalk. Thanks for our sponsor, Scent, supporting the indoor and outdoor climbing going on here. Coulomb, of course, one of the major crags just around the corner and an important Aboriginal site linking into the Dreamtime, which you can read about on our handouts that have been available. Obviously, all the climbers here doing their utmost to work in concert with the traditional landowners and making sure that we respect everything while still having access to our outdoor spaces alongside. And that is 20 seconds left. Liz calling it there. Time has reset back to 4 minutes. We have Sam Bowman and Grace Crowley stepping out for their first turns at men's 3 and females 3 boulders with 8 seconds on the countdown clock. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That's boulder go. Competitors, again, taking their time to compose themselves, reaffirm the beater that they put in their heads at observation, double checking, making sure it's correct, looking for anything they might have missed. When confident, stepping straight up onto those blocks. readying themselves both mentally and physically for the challenge ahead. Oh, heartbreak there. By the tips of his fingernails. Three minutes remaining on the clock for these competitors here. Once again, shout out to Pinnacle Sports for supporting us here today with their expedition knowledge and their retail expertise, providing us with the bits and pieces and brains to go outside and have a great time out in the wild, as well as indoors at these gyms, be it boulder or sport or trad or mountain alpine. You can find it there. Desperate work going underway. I don't know about you lot, but if I had a seat, I'd be on the edge of it. Competitors taking their time, giving those fingers and forearms a rest before having another burn. 2 minutes down, 2 minutes to go. Oh. Let's hear it for these guys. Come on, give them a little bit of hustle. Come on. Give them a little bit of vibe. Push that psych. Come on. Woo! And that's what that crowd means for them. One minute 10 remaining on the clock there. Excellent. Woo! Come on, let's get behind her. "40 seconds remain for this problem." "20 seconds remaining." "10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Such a good attempt. Once again, resetting that clock to that 4 minutes. Getting prepared for Thomas O'Halloran. Tom, as we know him, New South Wales. And we are also having Sarah, is it Sarah? Sarah out waiting on the other side. Sorry for my confusion there, out of visual range. Timer's knocking down. 5 seconds to go. 2, 1, competitors climb. Obviously, being down in the southern hemisphere, this side of the world, we are going into winter. So we have some wildfire buffs here for those feeling the chill. Just stick a hand up. That's one for the crowd at home. Here's one for the crowd here. Getting behind the crowd there, excellent. 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Those brushes getting in there and making sure those holds are ready. Again, sterling work by the volunteers here today.
You.
Twee, in fact, a competitor from yesterday, doing an absolutely excellent job. Woo, Twee! Taking the Masters podium third place, just shy of the second acquired by his partner in Masters female. Two minutes remaining on the clock. Nova, of course, being the second place female Masters. Just being pipped to that first place by Emily Ames, who unfortunately just missed out on acquiring that final spot for today in the females Open A category. Sarah looking very strong, working through this female 3 problem here. 1 minute 20 remaining. I think if our competitor, also just out of the youth divisions, Clea Hall, had been but a year younger, Emily would have been in. .45 seconds remaining on the clock. The crowd holds their breath. Expectation is high. 30 seconds remaining. .20 seconds remain. 15. And that's that. Give it up. What a sterling effort from both competitors there. Next competitors out, Clea Hall and Campbell Harrison. Moving over to their next blocks, M3, F3. All competitors, barring those not out on these yet, have 1 block remaining. We are really coming into the end zone now. And that's time, off you go.
Chilly? You chilly?
Who's feeling hyped over this side? Watching the females from the other angle here. We really get an idea of the intricacy of this problem.
You cold?
Let's give some support, guys. Let's get behind them.
Yeah, Claire, come on.
Campbell over there traveled all the way from Victoria. Let's get behind him. You can do better than that, people. Come on. Oh. 2 minutes 20 remaining on the clock for these attempts, nearly the half time.
Glad you're not on there. I could tell. So close. I'll get the ball whip out next time I have to.
You just negotiate that.
Past the halfway mark.
You get a zone on. So often the problem, isn't it? That time just ticks by so quick.
1 minute 30 remaining.
That was supposed to be someone calling all of that and like heading it up, but today they were just like, yeah, alright. It's kind of better because there's less I can say out loud. It gives me something else to talk about.
1 minute remaining.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately after.
Come on, let's get behind him. Come on. Giving it that all out there today. Oh, double. 35 seconds remain. Is there time for another ascent? Sorry. 20 seconds. Ten seconds left. We will not be seeing another burn. Clock reset. Last up for the male 3 and female 3 boulders are Jesse Ruffini and Anna Davey. Let's give it up, ladies and gents. Everybody, get behind them. Anna having come all the way from Perth for this. Jesse having come all the way from Brisbane for this. That time is ready to go. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get on your blocks.
Just letting you know. Again, we're going to have another
Shuffle around.
reset,
Yeah,
so I'll let the ISOs know.
Sorry for a little bit of quiet from me there, just grabbing some information about the next phase. Nearly 1 minute down on this set of attempts. That's 3 minutes coming up on the clock now. 3 minutes remain. A lot of crowd support there. We love to see it. Love to hear it. And so do the competitors. You saw how it fueled people earlier. Let's get behind it again. Anna on female 3, ladies, gents, everybody. Let's get behind her. See the cogs turning, figuring out the sequence. She's got a pretty good idea, but just looking for any differences in the ways she might use some of these small holds. 2 minutes 15 remain. 1 minute 50 remaining on the clock.
Who requested this set? Is this appropriate?
1 minute 35 remains. Hanna making sure she's well rested for this attempt. And really getting it through her brain exactly where she needs to move, how and when. Coming back to the block, pulling on, let's give it. Come on. Come on, Hanna. Oh. One minute remaining. "45 seconds. Hanna pulling on. Definitely suffering some pain in the fingertips there. Let's give it up for the attempts. Well done. All right, another slight reshuffle now at the end of that rotation, moving our crowd around, making sure we have good access for the competitors to female 4 and male 4, the final blocks, F4, M4. For the competitors in these state finals here today, the Pinnacle 2021 Queensland State Boulder Championships, supported by Scarpa, supported by Physio Cream, supported by Sober Beverages, Wildfire Sports, Scent, Wild Earth, and Cliff Bar. Many an outdoor boulder session has been saved by my friend Regan with his spare bottomless pocket full of Cliff Bars. Four minutes reset onto the clock. Crowd mostly in position, making sure that we have space for those competitors to pass from the first isolation booth through the hall without impediment toward their second isolation station. That's fun to say. This men's 4 block looking to be quite an exciting finale for today's finals. The females 4 certainly with some tension and anticipation in store for us as well. Of course, as with all the other boulders, Atako out first for females 4 on the pads there in front of the judges. She has 5 seconds till go time. 3, 2, 1. Let's see it. Give it up for Atako. Woo! You getting cold with the winter coming? You need one of them then. Solid first go. Woo! Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. That's why she's here. With just about 1 minute deleted from the clock now, 3 minutes remaining. Atako is making excellent headway through this women's number 4 boulder. The crowd goes mental. Look at that, ladies, gentlemen, everybody. Oh my goodness. 2 minutes 35 remaining on the clock. Doesn't even need it. Clocks reset. The first two competitors for the final qualification podium. Alexander Chetkovsky, choking over my own tongue there, and Felicitas Vernon, both out of Queensland. Home crowd. Alexander obviously known to his friends as Xander. Xander in that number 8 bib, walking out underneath the prow. 4 minutes on the clock. Countdown ready to begin. I think the angle is slightly off for the remote there. Come on to the pad. 10 minutes, 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Off you go. And the first two competitors after our guest climber Artako to challenge these female 4 and male 4 blocks. Heartbreak on that. Requesting a quick brush, getting everything sorted.
Good?
Yeah.
You're coming loud and clear. How many marks do you have to go?
So we are currently on Alex and Felicitas.
Yeah. Is that problem 3 or problem 4?
Problem 4, last one.
With 4 competitors to go?
5. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, come on, give it up for these guys. Look at this. Oh, the tension is palpable. Woo! Fist bumps from the judges there. Of course, Felicitas still moving across female 4 here. Ooh. 2 minutes 25 left on the clock. That's not quite halfway. These dynamic problems becoming more and more common throughout the scene of boulder competitions. But equally, some other boulders being set quite regularly in a very contrary style, perhaps partially spurred on by the wide boys and their crack problems. Look at that. It's 1 minute 30 remains on the clock. Clock reset, looking for our next competitors out onto the pads today. In the forms of Sam Lavender and Elizabeth Cuskley, aka Liz. Getting in amongst it here. Four minutes on the clock. 10-minute countdown begun.
Come on, Sam.
2, 1, go. Liz setting those hands, visualizing. Sam doing the same. Both competitors readying up to their start positions. Strong, overhanging burly climbing here for the men's Route 4. Nothing but fingers. Who needs feet when you have hands like that? Liz still working her way very delicately through female 4. 2 minutes 50 remaining on the clock. Oh, look at this. Both competitors. And that's a reset on the clock. Next up, Sam Bowman and Grace Crowley, once again, forgive the pun, gracing the mats.
Yeah, I like it.
That joke was mostly just for me. 4-minute timer, readying up for that 10-second countdown. There it is. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. Competitors readying their minds. 3, 2, 1. Let's get on with these problems.
Come on, Sam!
You guys been feeling the winter chill? Yeah. No? Oh, give it to someone else then. Wildfire Sports here, obviously one of our minor sponsors, helping out with some prizes in amongst the crowd. What do you say to Wildfire Sports?
Thank you.
There it is. Ooh, male 4. Grace eyeing up this female 4 boulder. Readying on. Those Scarpas doing perfectly well, holding that rubber on those slidey volumes. Thank you, Scarpa, for the support of this event here today. We're at 2 minutes 45 into this attempt on this block. These volunteer brushes still doing an excellent work. Phil knowing the importance of getting those fingers right in the little cracks there. It's difficult to get those brushes in really high up on these overhanging problems with pockets in them. He's doing an excellent job making sure the competitors have every chance of sticking those holds if they reach them. Two minutes remaining on the clock here. That's half time for this boulder attempt. Grace still looking determined and dedicated. Dusting those hands off, readying up for an attempt. Oh. Let's hear it, everybody. Come on. The crowd here at Flow Bouldering in the Sunshine Coast being absolutely exemplary. Couldn't have asked for a better turnout or better support for these athletes. Everyone really invested in the success of everyone here today. These delicate, tentative movements, making the crowd hold their breath. The big, bold, explosive movements, rising a cheer out of every mouth. 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Ooh, and a sigh from the crowd there. 15 seconds remaining. She knows it's not enough time. Really good. Let's give it up for Grace, everybody. Next up, Tom O'Halloran, New South Wales, Australian Olympian, stepping up to M4. And Sarah Reynolds settling in front of F4, readying her mind and those shoulders for this attempt. We have 7 seconds on the clock. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. A new track to start. New motivation. Solid movement through both blocks by both competitors. Everybody moving just slightly differently on this M4, but essentially the same stuff happening. A Queensland favourite position. Lots of support from the crowd for that here. Having Mount Coolum just around the corner, Flinders Cave. Some really, really good moves. Woo, what a top. Not quite conventional. Look at this crowd, everybody. Give it up for the crowd. Four minutes reset for the next competitors to come out. Looking at Campbell Harrison, straight out of Victoria, running down to the end here. Getting ready to eye up this M4 block before he's allowed to turn around, visualizing in his head what he remembers from observations. Clear Hall doing the same halfway through the mats. That's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Let's rumble. Clear, of course, climbing for Team Pinnacle here today. Pinnacle, our named sponsor. Sorry about the plosives, I keep popping into the mic. These athletes just knowing what needs to be done and executing very comfortably. Three minutes remaining. Of course, by this point, A lot of the judges probably have a good idea of where the standings are going to be, just shimmying it down to the last few points. On the live stream back at home, you can have a look at where the standings are. The competitors back in isolation, of course, with no idea what's going on with anybody, everyone being separated, keeping their own to their own. Most of the crowd having a guess at what's happening. Some people may have been keeping track, others still clueless and in the dark.
They will talk to each other, it's just a win.
2 minutes remain. Of course, in between each problem, the isolated competitors are together. They may chat to each other about what has been or hasn't been achieved, but they also may not, keeping things close to their chests. Only those in isolation know. Clear moving with dedication. Strong swing here. Oh. 1 minute 25 remaining on these attempts. Clear, of course, our penultimate female competitor. Oh! 1 minute remaining.
Come on, Cleo.
A minute may seem like an eternity down on the pads, but up on the wall, it never seems like enough time. "35 seconds. There, you know what the crowd are yelling about. Clock going for a reset. And our final competitors of the Queensland 2021 Pinnacle Boulder State Titles, supported by Scarpa, moving out onto the mats today. Anna Davey, Western Australia, bib 56, settling in front of female 4. And bib 51, Jesse Raffini from Queensland,
Come on, Jesse.
settling himself in front of male 4. 10-second countdown underway at 5 seconds now. 3, 2, 1. Let's get on it.
Come on, Jesse.
Woo! Anna wasting little time. Unfortunately, misstepping there. Hopefully hasn't done herself a mischief. Jesse pulling on to male 4.
Come on, Jesse.
Moving so well here. And there it is, Jesse Ruffini with the final top for the men. And that is the male competitors done for the day. Just the final figuring out of the judging scores and timetable, score table to be established and confirmed for them. Anna, of course, still working through this female 4 problem here. Explosive start into a delicate finish. Carefully moving across this last available foothold before they run out and leave only volumes. And just slightly further away than you might like. 2 final holes, She's got them. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. A top for Hanna Davey, finishing off the females competition here. Thank you again to the crowd. You guys have been exceptional. And thank you again to Pinnacle Sports, Scarpa, Physio Cream, Sober Beverages, Wildfire Sports, Scent, Wild Earth, and Cliff Bar for supporting us here today. That, ladies and gentlemen, is that. We are now just going to move over to a brief period of figuring out exactly where everyone's sitting, and then over to the podium for final medals. Rob said you could sort me out with some trade price Scarpa shoes. He told me you could.
Nick, we just want to close the stream. Come with me.
Oh, all right. And here we are. Sorry for all of those on the online. Are we closing up the stream before the medal ceremony? You guys are going to have to check out those final standings online, which you've got access to.
How long for the ranking? How long to get the ranking on?
I honestly don't know. It depends how long the judges take moving things around.
Huh?
I don't know. It depends how long the judges take moving everything about.
Okay, we'll go offline. It's too boring.
So again, just to everybody online there, thank you so much for tuning in and watching our live stream today with Antoine here from Radis Productions providing all this techie fancy business behind the scenes. They've been sterling providing us with music to support the competitors and crowd today.
Yeah, talking about music, big thanks to the Amalga crew, Sunny Coast boys and girls representing. Always try to get local involved as possible. Got Graham Page here from Vicky Point. Angela Davies was monitoring the stream. We got also, we still have Ali there filming us on the 5D Mark IV. And James helped with the camera too. Who else we had? The Nailers, obviously.
I'd like
the
to
Nailers.
give a good shout out to Ollie as well, one of our young little rugrats running around flow bouldering here. He's been an absolutely exceptional help doing the odd task here and there wherever needed. And lastly, myself, Nick Folds. I'm a local osteopath in the area as well. If you've got any aches or pains and you're a climber, come see me, I'll sort you out. Or send you somewhere where you need further attention.
Yeah, great thing about his treatment. Unfortunately, he's offering a full service, but you need to come to his place. Or where's your location?
You do have to come to where I am. I'm based in the Gold Building at 10 Eagle Street out of Move Osteopathy in Brisbane CBD. But for anyone that is Queensland, more specifically a Brisbane local or in the surrounds, I'm there for you. Come find me.
So I think Graham will press the stop live second button in a second. No, not this one, the one on the other computer. And we're going to close that stream just before, but Graham goes offline. I'd just like to thank everyone of part of the circuit. COVID was a bit rough. Last time we live streamed was core climbing. There was a comp there. Now, still happening, but we got a circuit going this season. Next event, I think, for the Sport Climbing Queensland event, I think is the state lead at Urban X.
It should be the state lead comps, yes. That will be at Urban Extreme in Hendra in Brisbane local. We have a social series comp coming up at Rock Sports, not with Queensland sport climbing, but just social comp there. There's also Boulder Fest coming up with Urban and another social series, I think, with 9 Degrees. It's all happening in Queensland at the moment.
That's it. So there's I think there was also the junior state at core climbing later this season. So thanks everyone. We're pretty much at a national level.
Absolutely at a national level.
Whoa. So there was problem in the V11 grade, I'd say, for the boys, V8, V9 for the girls. Easy.
Easy.
And they
really some stiff climbs here.
So
super impressed, particularly with this black and white slopey volume problem. Men's too, I think it was.
I'd like to dig a big thanks to Nailers to just come here for a second. So because she's a local, She's the mom. She helps so much in the community. Can you tell us about your ACAQ involvement? What do you do for us right now?
Okay, so I'm increasing cultural awareness for climbers all across Australia. I'm working to put First Nations information on all of the crags in Australia and also increase First Nations and cultural awareness for all climbers across Australia. So if you see something online about cultural awareness, it's probably thanks to me, but any education is good education.
And that's ACAQ, everybody. Let's support them wherever you possibly can. There is a web address for that, which we may find a link for to put up later. But ACAQ, obviously providing us access to the crags all around Queensland, a really, really useful body to be working for climbers.
All right, thanks, Nick. Yeah, beautiful. I'll let you take a break and we'll talk soon. I'll give you that back in a second. Thanks, everyone. We're going to close this stream. It's just me now. I'll just like to close maybe on the 5D Mark IV still running. What do we got there? It's all quiet down. Nice shot of the sponsor. Pinnacle Sport. Scarpa represent. I got my shirt at the moment. Yeah, Rob Sander is the distributor behind that brand. Give him a big shout. And yeah, that's a wrap. And don't forget, if you scratch, scratchy door.